I'm now about to go into the exhibit area, and I can immediately see this Dumbo flying over my head along with his companion mouse. Classic Disney picture. This is the same picture that was on the In Walt's Footsteps tour that I went on one time in Disneyland. Over here we have Walt Disney's desk from his Burbank Studios. I remember seeing this at Disneyland itself, so it's nice to be able to see it. This time not behind a glass. And over there is Disney himself, as he would have been in his office. He really liked miniature figures. Oh, and that's very interesting. That Mickey Mouse that is in the background there at the top. If I can zoom in on it. I have that same exact Mickey Mouse. That one right there. So that's interesting. I have the same Mickey Mouse that Walt Disney had. Over here in this exhibit, they're showing the animation station for Fantasia and how they would carefully do cell upon cell upon cell to eventually create something like Fantasia that you can see over here. The original archive started with, it says here, with Roy Disney and some of the things that he had collected over the years. He had collected correspondence and 8,500 photos. But according to this document right here by Dave Smith, he proposed the first formal archive for safekeeping. And this was one of the first objects, which is the snow globe from Mary Poppins. And here is the famous Disney ticket number 1, which was purchased by Roy Disney. But it wasn't the first public ticket. Studio commissary menu from the 50s. Obviously things were a lot cheaper back then. You could get the Snow White special, which was chicken, salad, an avocado, and egg for 40 cents. Must have been nice. Here's another menu, and the chef's plate was 45 cents, which was chicken a la king, Irish lamb stew, rolls and butter, coffee milk, or buttermilk. Very nice. You could get shrimp cocktail for only 35 cents. Some Mickey plush dolls here from the 1930s. It amazes me how tall they were back then. They're really tall. They're about coming up to my waistline. Goofy. And this one's interesting, a little hand cart that would be a Lionel hand cart that could be run on electricity. And a travel case for Snow White. And of course the famous Mickey Mouse wristwatch. I've had so many of those. I guess the first one was manufactured, it says here, in 1933. The famous carpet bag from Mary Poppins. A model of the Congo Queen from the Jungle Book ride. The magic ring from the Shaggy Dog. The magic bed knob from Bedknobs and Broomsticks. The sword from Zorro. The blocks from Mary Poppins. And the famous coonskin cap from Davy Crockett and the River Pirates. Worn by Fess Parker. This is one of the oldest things that are archived by the Disney Archives, and it is the megaphone that Walt Disney used to use back when he had his barn studio and he would make his laughograms. And this is what he would use to direct all those laughograms, such as the Alice comedies. So that is the oldest piece here in this exhibit. There's an early audio animatronic of Mr. Lincoln. to see what the inside of Mr. Lincoln would look like. This was the Mr. Lincoln, looking at this fair, this was the Mr. Lincoln audio animatronic from the 1964 New York's World's Fair. Very interesting. Even back then, how much they could do. Unfortunately, it looks like he was missing an eyeball. Early animation sequence cell for Oswald, the Lucky Rabbit, who many say was really Mickey Mouse, but of course he was stolen away by RKO, so Disney had to do something different. Something more modern here. A model for Elsa in Frozen that they could use for digitization as a reference. You know when you're watching the movie and they start the movie or they end the movie and say happily ever after? These are the prop storybook for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Cinderella, and this would have been the prop for Sleeping Beauty. So this is what you see in the beginning, and then at the very end, of course, when they say happily ever after at the end of the movie. Very interesting here. This is the Alice Comedies, one of Walt Disney's in 1923 first productions. And according to this contract, he sold the rights to deliver out to Margaret J. Winkler for a total of $1 for the first production of the Alice Comedies. This is interesting. This is talking about how Disney is preserving older pieces, such as this Cleopatra poster. That announces the movie Cleopatra from 1917. Unfortunately, this movie, only a few pieces of the production still exist. It's mostly a lost film, but Disney is preserving the poster. This is a production art piece for bedknobs and broomsticks. And I didn't expect to see this here. This is a poster for Batman. So that is very interesting. Section art for Darby O'Gill and the little people here. This is production concept art for 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. If you go to a Disney park on Main Street, USA, you'll see different dioramas. And this diorama was used at Walt Disney World and was, of course, the Queen from Snow White. And this would have been used in the Emporium. An old sign from the Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse. This would have been a sign that you could look out onto the Jungle Cruise from this vantage point from this sign. And so it was saying that you should look out to the Jungle Cruise area. This is an alien from the Great Movie Ride. He would come out of the wall to scare you. This is a Mayan priest, which was on the ride El Rio del Tiempo before it became the Adventures of Donald Duck and the Three Caballeros. And there is Rex, who used to give the tours of Star Tours, who was voiced by Pee Wee Herman. So here are many different costume designs. This is Anna and Elsa, and these would have been used at Walt Disney World. Here's a Tron costume. This is Clue, worn by Jeff Bridges in the movie Tron 2. This is a costume that was worn by Annette Funicello. And you have Dick Tracy. And of course, Coach Bombay's Mighty Duck jacket. Vivian Ward, worn by Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman. The Dharma Initiative computer from the show Lost. It looks like an Apple IIc. Probably that's what it is, an old Apple computer modified. Prosthetic face for the Legacy Effects Studios, so that he can show you how it worked. It's Herbie the Love Bug from the 2005 Herbie Fully Reloaded. Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color, the Golden Horseshoe Review, used by Edwin. And there's the Professor's Model T, 1915 Model T Ford from the Absent Minded Professor, used by Fred McMurray. It's amazing pieces of car that still exist. What kid didn't want to have a rocket pack? This is the jetpack used from the 1991 movie The Rocketeer. And there's the Rocketeer's uniform, worn by Billy Campbell. It's Wilson from the movie Castaway 2000, used by Thomas Hanks. That's interesting. Next to a live model reference of Roger Rabbit. And the Mouseketeer guitar used by Jimmy Dodd that he would use in the Mickey Mouse Club that ran from 1955 to 1959. Oh, and there's Cogsworth from the live action version of Beauty and the Beast. Amazing. Too close to this machine. It is the electric magnetic shrinking machine from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the original movie from 1989. Looks like it has a VHS player, a regular movie prop, lots of coils, interesting machine. Baloo reference from the Jungle Book. A full makeup model of Pride Rock. Very interesting, gives you a reference model and spatial view. Never really imagined what Pride Rock would have looked like on a scale version. The watch and glasses from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Calculator watches. Who would have known that would have been, back then a Casio watch was very expensive. Not so much. Here is an original Tron costume worn by Bruce Bolkner. This is what they would do. It would be white and black. More movie props. Darling from Lady and the Tramp. Over here we have Maleficent from Mistress of Evil from 2019. And Queen Ingrid. Ken Miles, used in the Ford versus Ferrari, and he would have been driving this Ferrari over here. That's going to wrap up my visit here to the Walt Disney Archive exhibit here at the Bowers Museum. It was very entertaining. They have a little gift shop here. I'm going to go check out. Fountain. And over here we have the Sword in the Stone. Very interesting. The Southwest Boulder and Stone. It's loose. I bet you if I really wanted to I could take that out, but I'm not going to do that.